Hello, everyone. My name is Denise Lewin Loyd, and I'm an assistant professor of business administration and the associate dean for equity at the Gies College of Business. Like my colleagues, I'm delighted to be part of this important conversation. In my work, I focus on group composition and the impact of group composition on team and member outcomes. So today I'm going to be focusing on what I call building great teams, great inclusive teams in particular, and share a few of my insights. So the punchline is that structure matters, and it's not as easy as one, two, three. When we think about moving from homogeneity to diversity, one changes everything. Now, that seems like a bold statement, but I will say that even one dissimilar other really represents a qualitative shift in the context of the group. And as my esteemed colleagues, especially Evan, has discussed, diversity really can promote expression of unique perspectives and dissenting perspectives that help us be more innovative and more creative and make better decisions. And the best part to me is that those unique perspectives don't only come from the minority, from the person who's different, but majority group members also share more unique information in the presence of diversity. So diversity really impacts everyone. But being a solo can make it harder to advocate for diversity, to advocate for similar others. In my work, I find that solos are more likely to be concerned that advocating for similar others might be seen as illegitimate favoritism. So they may support similar others less. Thus, increasing diversity can ironically undermine diversity. So one changes everything, but one is certainly not enough. Which leads us to two, but that must be the solution. The solution must be two. The saying is two heads are better than one. We've all heard that. And it seems intuitive that two would be better. However, it's not that easy. Two is perhaps more complicated. In spite of the recent push to do things like in California, have at least two women on boards by 2021, we may not fully understand the context. As a solo, an individual stands out, but as a duo, the category stands out. A member of a duo can be more identified with their identity group. Instead of being Jennifer, you're one of the women, and two can be seen as interchangeable. So funny anecdote that Sandra Day O'Connor says is the only woman on the Supreme Court, she received an excessive amount of attention, but when Ruth Bader Ginsburg joined, she was very happy for it. At least once a term, the two were confused by attorneys presenting before the Supreme Court with one another. And despite the fact that they hail from very different political backgrounds and don't look anything alike, they were called each other's names. In my work, I find that a female member of a duo is more stereotyped as feminine than a solo. And to the majority, two may be seen as a separate group that you don't have to worry about because they have each other. So two is more complicated than we might think, which brings us to three. I don't know if three is a magic number, but there's definitely power in three. In geometry, with 3 points, we describe a plane, and that's what makes things like tripods and three-legged stools so sturdy. In work looking at women on boards of directors, they found that with three, they became more individuated. That's kind of a fancy way of saying that people saw them as the individuals they are more when there were at least three of them. Three is also powerful because it's an odd number, and there's some work that looks at the full size of the group in odd and even groups and finds that odd-sized groups can be more impactful in the sense that it's harder to create two equal-sized factions. So when I presented this image, your eyes may have been drawn to the 3 blue dots, the power of 3, but I'd like to draw your eyes to this set of the 3 within the group. If we as leaders have the opportunity to break down our groups, we could think about breaking them into odd numbered groups, in part because if we don't believe that we have the power to create these factions, we have to work harder, to go back to what Evan was saying, to understand the other person, and if only to try to convince them, right, to come to my side. So I presented in short order just some basic uh, facts that I found through my work around how our structure really can impact the dynamics in teams. And even though it's not as easy as one, two, three, there are steps that we can take to improve our context, and it's certainly work that's worth doing.